Hello, everyone. Currently, Mars is transiting in an opposition between Saturn and Neptune in Aries, just past that, and moving towards its opposition to Chiron in Aries. So Mars is in this very sensitive period of moving between two Aries oppositions. We can say it's very transformative, but also very vulnerable. This Mars is very instigated. And in general, with strong Mars transits, Mars periods, and we're also going to have a square to Pluto after Chiron, we can say that the challenges and the ways that life confronts us are innately going to bring forward experiences and learnings that we haven't yet had. Meaning, if we knew what we were going to learn and the growth that was going to take place through our transformative and challenging experiences, there wouldn't be a need for them. If we already understood the lesson, we wouldn't have to take the test, so to speak. So there's a sort of this innate getting messy with Mars. And I find this for myself consistently. Often after deep spiritual realizations, deep spiritual insights, it's a necessity for life and the details, the content of life itself, to bring forward experience, to almost like draw out that realization and actually make it manifest and real. Like there's this beautiful scene in like Bruce Almighty, I think, where Morgan Freeman, who's like this God character, says, he was talking about prayer and says, if you pray for peace, paraphrasing, then God won't just give you peace. God's going to give you a relationship or an experience where you're going to have to work it out. He's going to bring up sort of the obstacles to that peace, and the obstacles come up and you have to respond to it. And that's the interesting thing about Mars. It's like there's a messiness in the process where the status quo, where the way things are, as tidy and organized and outwardly nice as they might look, it needs to be disrupted. It's kind of paradoxical. Like that disruption energy feels more chaotic. The content comes forward. It's volatile. It can be hard, and we can often meet these experiences very ungracefully. I mean, I find for myself, for the most part, when I'm really confronted to reach a new level of evolutionary growth, again, with respect to the fact that I have not yet been there, growth implies where I have not yet been, I don't usually meet it with good leadership. It brings up my weakness. It brings up my fear. It brings up where I'm unconscious. And that usually becomes sort of the next step in my learning and my awareness, and there's some growth that happens there. I think the evolutionary journey is irritatingly a lot slower than we tend to think it is, but it's fueled by desire, and we have to be okay with the imperfection of it, to see that with some grace and with support and compassion for how hard it often is. So we are sort of tested and challenged and pushed beyond what's comfortable, beyond what we often know how to integrate. So we think about that in context with Mars and Libra, all of the strong Aries, and of course Mars rules all of that Aries. We have to appreciate that Mars and Libra will often avoid confrontation because it wants to keep the peace. There can be an addiction to affinity, to things being nice and peaceful, but not really meeting the confrontations and the challenges that life truly needs to and wants to bring forward on this soul journey. So where are we holding on to the illusion, the appearance, the front of peace because we don't want to grow? Where are we actually preventing true peace by way of not bringing forward? Jesus taught, if you bring forward what is inside of you, what is inside of you will save you. If you don't bring in what's forward, what's inside of you, what is inside of you will destroy you. And I really think of that in terms of all the negativity, all of the fear. It has to be brought forward. Bringing it forward is never a matter of becoming identified with it, but we have to reveal it. It has to be brought forward. In a recent teaching, I brought forward this beautiful quote from A Course in Miracles, which is called The Journey into Hate, or The Journey into Fear. And it talks about the importance of revealing our own hate. Like, we don't realize the extent to which we hold on to hate, the extent to which we're holding on to it. And what's interesting is we tend to justify our fear and our protection and our defense. Right? For all the things that we're resentful for, that we hate, all the reasons why we hold distrust and guardedness, we have a story for it. And the thing is, that story is real on one level, but it also keeps in place the hate. Like every story we have of the past just sort of justifies why we feel what we feel. There's this beautiful teaching, and I wrote this song. I'll share the lyrics to you now. We don't know truly why we're holding on to what we're holding on to. I think in the end of the day, it comes back to we are afraid of finding out who we really are. There's an underlying resistance to who we truly are and walking the path of awakening. Walking the path of awakening from a Libra perspective brings all of our relationships with us. We don't do it alone. All of the places of hate and distrust, they have to come forward. So we have to be willing just a little bit to not be our own teacher. There's another quote from a course, which is, I resign now as my own best teacher. The story, the justifications, the story I have of my life and my reasons, that's not getting me where I want to go. Navigating on my own who I'm supposed to be and how I'm supposed to decide and what I'm supposed to do in each situation. It's coming from my own fears, from my own resistance. It's not the best navigating guide. So I'll share the song. You tell me why I hold on to this hate. The story I tell just reaffirms what I create. But you know more than I do. And I want to be free. You say I am love, but how can I know if your teaching is true? Then you must make it so. For you know more than I do. And I want to be free. My eyes, they can see. My ears, they can't hear. Guide the way back to you. Undo all the fear. The final lyrics are something like, the path that you give is the path that I live. I trust in your teachings and the love that you give. You can really think this opposition with Mars and Libra so deeply relational, but also can be deeply uncomfortable, is guiding the way home for us if we are willing to see it that way. If we're willing to recognize that the circumstances in our life and our relationships are part of the journey home. We don't have to understand the way out. There's just that teaching of being willing to engage it and take the next step. I find we can't force resolution, we can't force forgiveness, we can't force peace, but we can take the next step. We can allow the confrontation, the challenge, and the content of the life journey to just be brought forward a little more with a little bit of a less grasping hand. But nothing happened if we're not willing to reveal it. All right, so those are my teachings and my reflections on this Mars opposition. Very engaging, very dynamic. And whenever we have strong Mars transits, I think it always offers this great opportunity for accelerated evolutionary growth because it brings us more into the playing field of where the real evolution actually is. I haven't done it yet. I've been wanting to do a Mars and Libra through the houses, but just think about where Mars and Libra is and where your own natal Venus is. Of course, that's going to speak to your orientation around relationships and kind of where specifically the triggers and the content are coming up, you know, opposite all of this Aries. So to not be afraid of that. Tonight and tomorrow, I'm teaching here in Paris, France. So if you're around, please join me. I'm going to be teaching on the holiness of relationship and a sort of intensive on Mars and Venus aspect. It's going to be a very little intimate gathering. I'm looking forward to it very much. Get to meet a few people in person. So if you're nearby, just send me an email. You're welcome to come. Thank you for watching.